Well, we'll get the answer to all those questions and more here, Aggro. We got the picks and bans ready for you. Let's get them up on the screen so we could see what Salsa Squadron choose to focus here. They are going to be the first pick this time, so we'll see if they prioritize the Ganesha as highly as they did last game.
Well, Salsa Squadron's been first pick in all 5 of their games so far, so it's pretty clear that they like to be in this spot, and with them getting kind of the run back potentially in this picks and bans. It's the first time they've been able to pick it, at least in this set, up against Cryptic. Same bans from Salsa Squadron and Cryptic thus far. It was Ganesha first pick, as you mentioned last time, and still could be. I don't think that that's necessarily a bad thing, but the Chulainn first pick, a little bit different. Gonna give that over to Bruh. He played that earlier on against the Legions and looks pretty comfortable with it.
And this is better. Again, neither one of us have been particularly impressed by the Chaac play so far, so get him his hands on something that's a little bit more impactful. That could still be some flex to the jungle. We do see that occasionally, but I do agree likely that'll be the solo for him, as, hey, why not? Hui Raijin looked good last game, so let's pick him up again.
And I like this because Mineral had the chance to go for Fafnir, has not historically, so you're kind of betting that he will not pick up the Fafnir and that you could still pick it, and they end up paying off. But again, Cabrakan Ganesha, no Amaterasu here. So what is the jungler going to be? Is it going to be Chulainn or is it going to be Cabrakan? I imagine it'll be Cabrakan in the jungle with Chulainn going for Bruh, but do they want to switch that up and try and give that warrior to yunglad once more?
And this time, Cryptic get to get the core of what worked so well for him in Game 2 back one more time. So now they're looking real strong with that Hui, Raijin, Fafnir, almost top picks in every role right now that they're going to be able to take. Chang'e, the ban here by Cryptic. They know something we don't know?
Sheyka likes to play Chang'e. That's a good homework ban. And Salsa Squadron, bless. They decided to ban Hercules against fineokay this time.
I don't blame them.
Smart adjustment. Smart adjustment.
Now, I want to talk to you here as the Erlang Shen gets picked up. I mean, we have not seen Rat prioritized here in this set at all. No. Is that just something with these two junglers that they don't really care for? Or?
Yeah, it could still be the pick for Cryptic here. I think that that's likely going to be Erlang Shen in the jungle or in the solo lane for fineokay. He's very comfortable on that god. Yeah. And I think that Ratatosk could end up being great here. Does have some trouble against Cabrakan and Ganesha because both of them can kind of mess with the dash, but that it is on the table for Sam for sure.
I like this Poseidon pick here. We don't see a whole lot of it, but they're not going to be wanting for setup for the Kraken ultimate coming out from Cryptic. Last pick the Chaac as if to say, hey, we'll show you how to play it this time, bruh. So that could perhaps be going to the solo form. And
that's fineokay there. So it is going to be Erlang Shen in the jungle. I can't imagine that's going to be jungle Chaac this time around for Sam for soccer. Erlang really strong in jungle, really strong in solo. Did take a nerf recently on that early mink damage, which was really potent and still solid, but not quite as good as it used to be. But plenty of setup, plenty of damage in the early game. But in the mid to late, Cryptic really relying on Vetium on this Hui to punch through a fairly tanky lineup for Salsa Squadron.
And I gotta think Poseidon has a pretty decent matchup against Raijin with that cripple field, as he is able to get it down underneath him. That can limit his options with that Thunder Crash. Not gonna be able to jump away, and that's actually a good bit of his damage too.
That's true, and even in the Taiko drums where you're pretty immobile to run around and use those, you can get gobbled up by the Kraken pretty easily. It is actually going to be Sam for soccer on the Chaac in the jungle with the blink. So Chaac really making a resurgence, man. He's been seeing a lot of picks as of late.
Yeah, it might not just be Salsa Squadron that are prioritizing this guy. Cryptic obviously believe in the Chaac jungle as well. He's going to be going up against Cabrakan in the jungle, being piloted by the yunglad. So they'll have a tough matchup here. And just overall, Salsa Squadron's comp looks real tanky to me, Aggro. It's going to be hard to get through these guys.
Ooh, triple bounce off the mark there for Vetium. And expect Vetium to go for a penetration-oriented build. I mean, Hui really wants to build pen more anyways because crit doesn't really synergize with how low his attack speed is. You want to make your autos count every time, and if you're building crit and you're not throwing out as many autos and then they don't crit, you're kind of feeling pretty bad about it. You want consistent damage coming out of that Hui.
And we're seeing some pressure from Mineral and Sops over here. Vetium goes ahead and throws that Ricochet out, not really looking to contest, just for some return damage, as Sops and Mineral do successfully invade. But the inverse of that is that Cryptic are the ones with the pressure, since Geno on that Fafnir is helping out ShadowChair.
I like that call from Vetium to just give up that red buff. I think I would have preferred to see him go to lane, but you know he doesn't have the jump, so it's risky to push up that far. Instead, he heads towards the back camps to make sure that he's at least securing himself a little bit of farm. Probably the better decision there.
I agree. I think that pathing might have been a little bit dangerous for him. So now it's Sheyka, the one that's getting some pressure in mid. So level 1 is ShadowChair and Geno rotate over to the Harpies. I believe they got the right end now, working on the left side Harpies as Mineral and Sops come back to clean up their own buffs, as again, they are invading when they took those red and purple earlier.
But ShadowChair and Geno don't seem to want to give this one up for free. Too late, though, to try and contest, as Sheyka going to be able to get a red buff of his own. That's really important to be able to give your Hunter and your mid laner a red buff. That early clear, so critical, and red really does help you out in that regard.
And look how deep Yunglad is here on this Cabrakan, way up in the enemy jungle, taking away those back Harpies. So they're looking to try and invade wherever they can on this solo jungle side of the map too, since they got some pressure.
Sops and Mineral were able to strip away the entirety of the left side jungle. They got oracles, they got everything.
Yeah.
Cryptic, they're going to respond with a back camp invade of their own, but instead of soloing it away like Yunglad did, it was a split between Sam4Soccer and fineokay.
There's 3 members here. Sam4Soccer now rotating in, getting silenced for just a moment. Yunglad could be in trouble, getting knocked up as Sam4Soccer. That creates some space for him, so Yunglad is able to get out of there thanks to some early tankiness. Not too much comes from.
Both shells utilized, though, by Salsa Squadron. A little surprised to not see a sprint from either Mineral or Yunglad, because what is Chaac jungle really going to do during a gank? He's going to throw down the axe, then he's going to call down the rain, you're going to be squishing through the mud trying to get back to your tower. Sprint really would have been helpful in that scenario, but I mean, Shell ends up saving the life of Yunglad there, but really be wary of where Sam4Soccer is with that giant slow field. Sheyka has to worry about the same.
Sheyka freed up now after clearing to rotate over to these fire elementals, but Team Cryptic are all here to try and contest. NotGeno goes in, but not really more going to come from. They instead just go ahead and back off and head back to that middle lane, but with that equal pressure, we're going to see them clashing over those neutral camps time and time again. I
just wonder if Sheyka's going to have enough damage with this Kraken to kill Sam4Soccer on a gank, unless he's already low HP. I mean, that Storm Call gives you such good damage reduction during the channel, and it can come out basically instantly. Unless Mineral has him silenced or knocked up with the dash, I mean, I just don't know if Sheyka's going to be able to kill him with the Kraken, and that's basically all Poseidon does. You get the cripple in the zone control with the Whirlpool, but those don't really become super impactful until he finishes off Gem of Isolation. Until then, he's Kraken Man, and will that really suffice against a roster like Cryptic has drafted? Now, something like that Ganesh dash into Whirlpool is incredibly potent, because you're guaranteeing the ticks, you can lay them right in the center, and then they've got a long way to go to get out of that Whirlpool, and that's where it could end up being impactful.
Ultimate comes out from fineokay, knocking him up and trying to see if he can finish this off. He knows he's got that healing he can rely on. Instead, not choosing to chase. There was a lot of help coming over. Likely a call coming out that Yunglad was making the rotation. Mineral was even there too if need be. So the right call not to continue pursuing that into the jungle.
And a little bit afraid of that transformation from Bro as well, who was nearing that rage threshold in order to turn into that beast form.
And now you were talking about how maybe Sheyka won't have the right targets here, but I think you kind of hit the nail on the head already talking about ShadowChair on this Raijin. When he's up on those taiko drums kind of slow, that might be where they're looking to focus. It's just, can he survive Sam4Soccer's pressure?
Geno able to steal away one mid-harpy, and that will be the majority of the focus. And ShadowChair didn't go for Aegis, instead for the Purification Bead, which can definitely work out for him, and I think that's a safer call in the early game, because the biggest kill potential for Salsa Squadron is Mineral's engagement into a Whirlpool, which can then lead to a Kraken, but if you beads the initial, slow or whatever, then you're not getting hit by that anyways. So I like the decision to go for beads here from ShadowChair.
Once again, everyone here to fight over it in Salsa Squadron, steal away those fire elementals in their own name. ShadowChair lurking over the wall and does get some good poke off on the Sheyka, who has to back down underneath this tower, and that's based on some vision that Team Cryptic have down there between that jungle path.
That's because neither Mineral nor Sheyka had backed quite yet, so couldn't buy any wards even if they had wanted to. Now Sheyka's going to come back with full boots and 2 wards as well, so nothing to take away the ward on the bottom right-hand side, but certainly enough to give themselves some vision as well.
And again, Aggro, this is the matchup between, right now, our 7th seed in the Challenger Cup team. Salsa Squadron were able to successfully take down ALG 2-0, and they're hanging here with Team Cryptic, so Salsa Squadron, no joke. If they're able to win this matchup, I believe they go on to face Noble next. So again, that's sort of the big context for this whole matchup, trying to earn the right to move on towards the end of Gauntlet and earn a spot at Super Regionals, and that's what Salsa Squadron are on path to do.
Without a doubt. I mean, Salsa Squadron is certainly a legitimate contender here in this Gauntlet, and beating Allegiance 2-0, they didn't even look like they were breaking a sweat. They took that one really easily. Game 1 against Cryptik didn't really look like they were breaking a sweat. Now game 2, they got stomped, but how well can they bounce back? That's going to be critical for them. If not only because it's their lives on the line, but gives you a good idea of the wherewithal of this squad.
And if they don't win this game, it won't end up mattering. But if they do, it's going to make pick bans a little bit harder going forward. You kind of thought, as long as they take care of that Amaterasu, maybe they wouldn't be as much of a threat. But now this is twice in a row where they've gone without it. And Sanford rotates on in, drops down the Chaac ultimate. ShadowChair has to jump away.
There's the Kraken, and it's going to find the first blood. Sam had already used the ultimate, and Salsa Squadron, first one on the board. That's exactly the way you draw it up. You allow the Chaac to engage, you back up, he doesn't really do a lot of damage on his own with that ultimate in the early game even, and then you allow Mineral to set up for the Kraken. Beautiful play from Salsa Squadron.
And that was the example there. We're wondering if he'd have enough for Sanford, and he certainly did. We see Sanford going right into the tree to start up that on Kile. He wants a little more magic defense to help out, as well as that passive, sort of shut down any more damage to anyone nearby when he takes some damage.
It's great against the Cabrakan. We saw it in game number 1 when Sam was playing it. It's also great against Ganesha. If he finds you with that dash, it'll actually silence out the knockup on the backside of it, so it gets you out of that CC very quickly.
That'll be largely to his benefit. He's going to need it sooner rather than later, as it's become clear that Sheyka is not afraid to commit the big-time ultimate to him to help secure some kills. And they've even got some potential on some objectives as well with that Kraken, which can do a lot of damage to it. So it's not just in these fights where Salsa Squadron can have a lot of control.
Chaac just does not seem to work out too far in this set. Even the game that it won in game number 1, bruh was really getting punished pretty hard for it in the early game, and that engagement just did not go Cryptik's way. I really think that I would have preferred to see Sam on the Erlang Shen if this is the type of draft that Cryptik wanted to go for. fineokay, when I think of his god pool, I think of Hercules #1 and Erlang Shen #2. So I've got no qualms with him playing this god. I think he's phenomenal at it. But if you want to give Erlang Shen to fineokay, I think that something like Kamazotz would have ended up being a little bit more impactful for Sam for soccer, Ratatosker to try and strip away some of these protections. I like Sam on the Raven, but I think having a more mobile jungler that can get off to an early start and get fineokay ahead on the right-hand side is something that I really prefer for this squad.
Cryptic at least able to pick up those oracles, so they got some vision over there by the Gold Fury pit, though all the warding has got to be heavily in favor of Salsa Squadron. They got 3 wards throughout that Gold Fury pit, even up into the jungle of Team Cryptic. So they'll still have a good idea of what's happening over there on that side of the map if any cheeky calls come out for that Gold Fury, but rotation once again from Cryptic over to the right side of the map. Stun comes out on a Mineral, takes a good bit of choke from Sam for soccer too. Rotating over to fineokay as well, but the Kraken comes in on top of 2. fineokay takes way too much damage. Yunglad ends up cleaning up that one as the Cabrakan. Mineral's still in trouble. He was the initial engage.
Sam finally going to put Cryptik on the board with that storm call, but Geno might be the sacrificial lamb. Yunglad gets his second. Beautiful Kraken there from Sheyka. Peels everyone away from Mineral, blows up fineokay before he can get the ultimate off. That was the big difference maker. If fineokay can jump in there, he's looking for the CC chain to pull Mineral back in and can keep that fight going in Cryptik's favor. But Sheyka quick on the Kraken. Really good play from him.
And this is exactly what Salsa Squadron needed. Now, they're up about 1,500 gold, but those kills, ShadowChair in too much trouble. I was about to say they got 2 quick kills onto the Cabrakan. Make it 3. Yunglad sitting 3-0-1 in the jungle. He's going to be hard for Cryptic to deal with.
And this is a character that brings CC, brings damage, brings crowd control, it brings zone control as well on the Cabrakan. Much better suited to the jungle than the Vamana. And I know a lot of really good junglers are really a big fan of it, but it's certainly not the way that Yunglad was performing in game 2.
Vetium dives in, but takes way more damage than he was looking for. Luckily, Geno was looping around. Mineral's here now, and he actually knocks up Vetium, but a good body block from Geno keeps him from taking too much damage. Sanford Soccer's coming in on the back, and his hammer comes in. Sops gets taken down. Good rotation for Sanford Soccer.
That looked like it was going to go Salsa Squadron's way until the nice body blocks from Geno. Mineral drops the Dharmic Pillars as Mineral's looking for the stun and knock up onto Sam. He'll find it. Yunglad can't quite close the gap, uses the extra movement speed and locks him in with the crush. Sheyka gonna get another one.
And that was despite an excellent hammer toss from Geno to create a little bit of separation from him. Like you said, that increased movement speed that he got really helped close the gap, drop the ultimate, and Sheyka had no problem helping to clean that one up. Now, just fighting over this purple buff. Looks like it was dropped there by Salsa Squadron, so they successfully invade. Now they're making their way out.
Mid-jungle have every single kill so far for Salsa Squadron. Can they stay safe? It's got to be protection squad for Mineral and Bruh to try and keep Sheyka and yunglad alive, because as soon as fineokay starts rotating into these fights, you know he's going to be looking for Sheyka on that Poseidon, but getting an early lead on Poseidon is so critical because you want to rely on that base damage that he has and then try and get the itemization.
Now Geno goes into the dragon form. Sops had to use his ultimate. The stun was a little bit off the mark, and Sheyka, yunglad are here now, but ShadowChair's lurking around the back end of the fight, so can certainly have an impact. The ultimate for the Kraken was just too much. Yunglad gets credit for that one. Raijin ticks through the fight, but it's all over but the crying.
Love the synergy between this Cabrakan and Poseidon. It's
yes.
Sheyka who lays down the whirlpool, allows yunglad to guarantee the cripple tick with the stun, and then he unleashes the Kraken right away. These two working together beautifully right now.
And you talked a little bit here about what fineokay's impact going to be. Is still looking to start with the Gold Fury is Salsa Squadron. Vetium and ShadowChair are here along with Sanford Soccer. ShadowChair has the taiko drums, and he does go up into them and trying to pull back in Sanford Soccer. The Wild Hunt comes out from Sops. That's a lot of good damage. He's able to get out. Knocking him up is Mineral, and Bruh cleans him up. But ShadowChair rotates in to clean up yunglad, but he might have given up his dash a little bit too early, as now he's getting locked down, and Bruh gets a double kill.
Nice idea there from Vetium to drop the Suns up and over the wall to peel for his mid laner, but ShadowChair's only level 10, man. He just doesn't have enough base HP, no extra protection items as you would expect from a mid-mage this stage. And again, just Salsa Squadron bait in Cryptic. They're up. It's not a lot of gold, and it feels like Cryptic's had a ton of momentum against them right now. It feels like Salsa Squadron is really running away with this one, and Cryptic needs someone on their team to say, listen guys, I know we're behind. Our XP isn't where we want it to be, particularly in the mid lane, but we aren't behind by that much, and we can come back into this game, and you need that steadying voice on your team, because with your season on the line right now against a team that you feel like you should be beating, it can be easy to lose focus and get frustrated, but that's where guys who have been around the league, fineokay, Vetium, need to step up and be leaders for this squad and bring them back into it.
And that's what Cryptic are going to have to do. Salsa Squadron in strong position, as you mentioned. In particular, Sheyka and yunglad are looking real strong for him in this game. That Cabrakan and Poseidon synergy has been nuts for him so far. Right now we're seeing a rotation in. Yunglad blinks in on the ShadowChair, getting locked down in the Poseidon whirlpool. That's more than enough to clean up that kill.
This composition has done such a good job of shutting down this Raijin. Bruh's in trouble on the right-hand side. No ultimate for him, as fineokay is going to be able to find this kill most likely as he gets a tower reset to him. As Salsa Squadron, meanwhile, is doing the Gold Fury, but fineokay still looking for the kill. Finally is able to find it.
But he's laughing all the way to the bank as his team does get the objective, and even going in for the invade on the red buff. Geno's here, but he doesn't show up in time. Gold Fury goes down. They do lose one in right, but they got a kill in the ShadowChair to start off the engagement, so up 9-4 and about 2,000 to 3,000 gold.
But this is at least a good start for Cryptic. Yes, they lose Gold Fury, but they were going to lose that anyways against the roster of Salsa Squadron that's gotten their lead in mid and left-hand side. Give fineokay something. Give him the tower down. A little bit of extra gold, a little bit of extra experience. Try and get somewhere for your team a lead on the map.
And that's what they were able to get. Trying to get fineokay back into a position now where he can have a big impact. But unless he can come in and do something to shut down yunglad or Sheyka, things are looking real good for Salsa Squadron to start things off.
And Sheyka's going to have penetration by the time fineokay is there. And he's already got the Gem of Isolation, meaning that it's hard to find that, to close the gap and kill that Poseidon, because he can peel for himself so well with Trident.
Sops forced to disengage on the left-hand side. Dharmic Pillars coming out from Mineral. No one quite inside them just yet, but it is enough to get them to give up the invade on that red buff. Sops now is going to be the one carrying that one around. As we finally see fineokay over here, at least in the mid. Yunglad getting some good poke off onto him, but they'll back off.
Now it's time for Sheyka to really start to run away with this one. He's 3-0-5. He's got a red buff of his own now, and he's got the Gem of Isolation done, working towards what's going to be either a Spear of the Magus or a Spear of Desolation. That penetration that's going to be so important in this game. He's the one to keep an eye on. If these Krakens continue to be excellent, like they have all games so far, hasn't had one be off the mark, then Salsa Squadron has a great chance to move on and play Noble tomorrow. If he starts to miss these Krakens, if Cryptic's able to force them out defensively instead of offensively, then that's their opportunity to try and get back in this team fight.
And so far, Salsa Squadron have been the ones calling almost all the shots, it's felt like. They're the ones deciding where all the fighting is happening on the map. And while that's the case, Sheyka is going to be comfortable to go ahead and use those Krakens offensively. So part of it might be Cryptic centered maybe around fineokay need to be the ones pushing out the pressure as they rotate over towards Portal Demon, and they do go ahead and start pulling it.
But they're on a ward right now, that little red ward right where Sheyka's standing, and he's going to be knocked up immediately. He's got to try and get away. Knock up there again from Sanford Soccer, forces out the Aegis and the Purification Beads from Sheyka, who's still able to hold onto the Kraken, hasn't had to use it quite yet. Meanwhile, ShadowChair is getting crushed by Sops in the back.
That Aegis did so much for Sheyka, meaning out so much damage for him. Now it's a young lad up front who might be in trouble. There's that Kraken coming out. Geno takes way too much damage, and Sops able to clean up. Vetium 3 for 0, make that 4 for 0 in favor of Salsa Squadron so far. Now they turn towards the Portal Demon, and what looked like a bad initiation turned heavily in Salsa's favor.
And that's the power of a character like Poseidon. He's got extra movement speed. He's got Gem of Isolation. He's able to get away. Yeah, it costs him both relics, but Salsa does such a good job of allowing Sops to be in a different spot than Sheyka. Those are the two guys who are doing all the damage right now for Salsa Squadron, and so they're on completely different sides of the team fight. Everyone's looking at Sheyka, no one's looking at Sops. He just tears through ShadowChair, who's been behind all game long, just now hitting level 12, and what does Sheyka do? Comes back, hits a massive Kraken, forcing out the Aegis from Vetium, getting another member low. Great team fight again from Salsa Squadron, and now that slight lead where I was saying Cryptik's still in this one, you know, it feels like Salsa Squadron got the momentum. Enough with that. They're up 4,000 gold. They're about to be up a hell of a lot more with this Fire Giant buff.
And no one tells Salsa Squadron that they're challenger level. They're looking excellent right now up against two real SPL caliber teams. You know how in some of those old school cartoons you're running on air for a minute and until you look down, you don't fall? Well, Salsa Squadron feel like that. Just don't even think about it, boys. Keep playing like you're playing and putting it to Team Cryptic. Tier 2 and Tier 1 falling right, and they're going to keep extending that gold lead out.
And another invade goes Salsa Squadron's way. Spear of the Mega is now done for Sheyka, so even more penetration for him on this Poseidon. ShadowChair has it level 12 finally and has access to that Aegis, and I'll tell you what, he's going to need it against how far ahead Salsa Squadron are.
And the call from Cryptic looks to be to defend on this Tier 2. Good call to give up that Tier 1, only worth 500 gold, but Salsa Squadron aren't going to push the issue there. Instead, choosing to back off. Oracles are up, Tier 1 tower still up in duo side as well, so there's plenty of objectives for them to take where Cryptic haven't dug in and established their defense.
But Gold Fury is going to be up in about 35 seconds, so good back timing here from Salsa Squadron. This gives an opportunity to back, spend the gold they just got from getting 3 towers in total, the Fire Giant and the Invades on the right-hand side as well, and now they get to come back kitted up with items, with wards, ward away this Gold Fury, because if Cryptic are able to steal away this gold, then this gold lead for Salsa Squadron, not really too scary. I mean, they're only up about 3,500, 4,000 gold, but if Salsa Squadron can get this, we're talking 10,000 gold lead.
And it wasn't just that. Both of Sheyka's relics were still on cooldown because they were forced out from that last engagement. So I think that's a big part of why they decided not to engage just yet either. Let Sheyka get those. Let him get that survivability back so he can get out. And now safely get this Gold Fury started up with the Kraken ready to confirm if necessary, but they don't even need it.
No, all of Cryptic has really pushed back far. I mean, 2 members on right. ShadowChair was coming out of base in mid. Only Geno was close and wasn't even that close. That's a free objective for Salsa Squadron.
Salsa Squadron now in position, in control of the game, up about 9,000 gold. They have a real chance to go through the whole first day of the Gauntlet, only dropping 1 game to Team Cryptic, who've looked excellent since the team change that they've gone through. This is not over yet, but Salsa Squadron would have to make some errors at this point. They're definitely the ones in control. Tier 2 tower is going to be the call. Going in now is Bruh. The Dharma Pillars come out in response, though, to his engagement. There's Sanford Soccer coming in with a silence, and he crashes down, but doesn't really hit anybody too impactful. ShadowChair at least forces them back, but they give up that ultimate, and the Tier 2 tower falls just as easily.
Sprint popped. Salsa Squadron wants more underneath this Phoenix. Geno's very low. Vetium forced back by Bruh as well in that transformation form as there's the knock up and fineokay gets swallowed whole by Sops.
And Sanford Soccer trapped in those Cabrakan walls. There's nowhere for you to go but down, and Bruh ends up getting credit for that one. He's been looking excellent this game on the Chulainn. Geno just trying to stun him out and keep him from breaking into the base as the Phoenix on the left-hand side does fall down. Salsa Squadron run down the entire left-hand side of the map aggro, and the base is exposed.
And this is where Poseidon feels incredibly powerful, where you're so far ahead that Kraken is there to execute tanks, but if you just whirlpool anyone, they probably die. Between the Gem of Isolation, the damage from the rest of your team locking them down for that, this is where Poseidon does really, really well, because you don't need that Kraken to kill ShadowChair or Vetium. Whirlpool alone will do it for you and set up for the rest of the squad. This draft has worked out beautifully so far for Salsa Squadron.
And you saw those pings coming out on the map. Salsa Squadron not just taking the objectives, but cleaning out the jungle of Team Cryptic, really starving them for farm and a way back into the game at this point. Portal Demon just about to respawn. Fire Giant only 45 seconds away from coming back up as well. Have a chance to go back, spin that gold, come back and establish position over this objective, as now there's only 2 Phoenixes between them and facing Noble.
And this is a good opportunity for Sheyka to build some defense. He's gone for a Mantle of Discord here. Yeah. And while, yes, you know, the mid-mage in me wants everyone to just build damage and hit everyone for 1,000,000, because I think that's fun, there's a good opportunity for him to do it because he's relying on base damage. He's already got enough of that. Just use that protection to make sure you're alive.
Kraken comes out, bringing fineokay down to half health, and that's really all that needed to be done. He gets deleted by Sheyka, they're now up 5-4 in this fight. That's enough for Cryptic to back off, but I like what they did. If they could have got that pick on the Mineral, that could have been huge.
Could have been, but Mineral is still sitting at 95% HP because he's level 15. I mean, there's only 2 members above him on Cryptic, and it's Vetium and fineokay, and fineokay's a tank, man. He's not doing any damage. In fact, he went for some damage because he knows how badly Cryptic is lacking it. He went for it on Keeley of his own. But that just means it's that much easier to blow up. Sheyka demonstrating that for us nicely.
Now with that Fire Giant on all 5 members, Salsa Squadron back in one more time, using that Portal Demon to come right back out to the middle of the map, and they're going to start pushing. They don't really have any minion waves in right. They've got some in mid, so that might be the first call for them, where they'll have something to help take those backdoor protections, as well as soak up a few of those tower shots, so they can take down these objectives and get into that base.
And this is where getting the far side Phoenix is very impactful for a team, because Salsa Squadron can just play this very patient, wait for those minion waves to get into the enemy Titan room and put that pressure on Cryptic for them. They don't have to do a whole lot except for stand there and look mean against Cryptic underneath this right side Phoenix, because that allows these fire minions in left to start putting pressure on the Titan.
They're grouping over in right. Yunglad is the one responsible for pushing up those minions in the middle lane, but everyone's here for Team Cryptic. They're ready to try and establish a defense. Who are you looking at in particular for Cryptic to make this defense against the Phoenix?
Vetium can maybe just shred through Yunglad if he finds a good stun and drops the ultimate. Vetium's got to stay alive, because ShadowChair can just kind of bait himself and be the bait for Salsa Squadron. He's not doing a lot of damage right now anyway. He's only level 14.
Now the Phoenix already at half health, already taken down entirely from Yunglad, going forward and creating a wall that no one can pass through. Sanford Soccer drops down his ultimate, silencing out multiple members, but way too much damage coming out from Cabrakan. Ultimate comes out from Sheyka. That sets up sops to be deleted. Vetium does clean up Mineral, but it feels like a little bit too little too late. Ooh. As 2 members have already fallen. Make that 3.
Vetium jumped in, and he's going to pay for it almost. Yes, Yunglad blinks into the fountain and finds one. And Cryptic, just as their season looked like it was turning up, just when it looked good for them, Salsa Squadron stomp them down.
And this has been real impressive play from Salsa Squadron here so far today. I mean, what they've been able to do, going 2-0 against Allegiance, 2-1 just now. We saw them go up against Cryptic, and those are some strong players, man. No slouches.
No doubt. And if Noble was not taking them seriously before, look, a lot of people probably said they beat Allegiance, whoop-de-doo, Allegiance was looking terrible, whatever. Sure. Cryptic's going to stomp these dudes. And then they win game 1, and you're like, oh, maybe they're for real. But then Cryptic wins game 2, and they just got a lucky game 1. Salsa Squadron's the real deal. And if Noble isn't looking at what they did today and preparing with their picks and bans and with how they play the game, they're gonna get beat tomorrow. I mean, Noble needs to take this team seriously.
And I talked about it during the set. This game wasn't just important because they literally needed to move on, but it makes picks and bans or prepping against them that much harder. It feels like almost an entirely different comp that they won with this time, Agro.
Who knows what they're gonna pull out tomorrow? All I know is that Yunglad's not going to be playing an assassin. That's all I got for you. He clearly doesn't like that class very much.
Well, the good news is we got a couple guys that we got to break down the game for us. They've been watching attentively. Tom, Ron Jobbert, why don't you break it down?
Salsa Squadron. Starting off the weekend spicy. The guys coming down from the bottom league are actually the ones heading into Sunday, which of course is the prestigious day 2. You know what? Like, forget all the pretense. Just straight up, How did you feel watching Salsa?
This was so much fun to watch. This was a team that maybe didn't have expectations going into today. Maybe even on their team side and their communications, they might not have said that they were going to go all the way, but they have the chance to go all the way.
Yeah, I mean, these guys looked really strong. We'll get into the nitty-gritty in just a moment, but one of the things that I noticed zoomed out is that these guys really functioned as a squad. They functioned as a team really, really well.
Right, and I don't know who their shot caller is. Anybody on Salsa Squadron, please DM me and tell me your shot caller, because I'm super impressed. They were playing completely different than SPL teams. They were able to make calls a lot quicker. They were not leashing objectives that they could have gotten. They were turning very well. It was absolutely insane.
There was a level of confidence that I saw in these guys that was really impressive, and we see what I call like the waffle play, right? Where you're sort of, I don't know if we should go in or go out or go in or go out or take it or not. We didn't see much of that. It was Salsa Squadron went, this is the play call, that's what we're doing, and that, I think, is what got them, and not just victories here, but earlier on, even against ALG. I mean, they smoked ALG.
When it comes to plays like that, you can see how kind of a lot of the time you only win the objectives when you win a fight 4 or 5 fights later. When you're sitting at the Gold Fury at 15 minutes, and then you don't commit to it, and then you fight, and then 4 or 5 fights later, 26, 28 minutes, you're committing to Gold Fury. That's what gets teams to lose, because they don't have that early pressure.
And here, I mean, we saw what that pressure meant. The Salsa Squadron above ALG, it was like 15,000 gold both games.
It literally was not even close. And their team comps were different. You know, Amaterasu jungle hasn't been seen pretty much since she came out, and they used it perfectly. Amaterasu is a very strong character right now, and they realized that. She has Poseidon syndrome, and speaking of, they play that.
Sure, but let's give the Amaterasu a brief aside, because this is a character that off the top doesn't seem to function well in the jungle.
Right.
How did Salsa Squadron get it to work?
Well, his rotations were so on point that he was able to take the Amaterasu and say, okay, well, what if I'm just the second support? Because when it comes to that, you have the Bumbas and you have the movement speed, and you can get around the map a lot faster, so you're farming quicker with the Bumbas and her passive, and then you're able to push in.
But at the same time, it's not. At the same time, it's not the same as watching like the Athena jungles or the Ymir jungles. She doesn't seem to have a lot of that burst damage off the top until the later ends of the game. So, what was the secret for Salsa Squadron sneaking her through the early game?
The early game, especially with that passive, is so dangerous. And whenever you're able to do that, you get the 3 successful auto attacks, and then they take so much more damage, especially from everybody on your team. And if everybody's rotating like they were, then 4-on-1 with even more damage taken. It's just absurd. The
details, the passive, can't forget about it. That's really, I think, what allowed them to go ahead and we make the Amaterasu choice work, and also, like we said, kind of beat up ALG.
Yeah.
I had some expectations for ALG here. They didn't meet them. Is this sort of what you expected?
Yes, and I say that because they seem checked out. And I hate to say that because they're all very good players.
Sure.
5 individually talented players did not ever have the synergy the entire split.
I would definitely have to agree with that. I think that and I think we can say that there will probably be sunnier skies for a lot of those players in the future. Even shortening to 6 teams. I mean, make all the memes you want, Twitch chat. I think that Weekend is a strong player. I think Cyclone Spin has a spot in the SPL. Yankee on Soar was considered one of the best hunters in the world. You haven't seen the last of these guys. And speaking of which, another group of players that also have made an impact, Vetium and Team Cryptic. These guys came in, a little bit of backstory if you guys are just joining us for the postseason. Team Cryptic was actually a different squad at the beginning of this split, and through some nice roster moves and some business moves, we see the team that you see in front of you, which I expected a lot out of. Unfortunately for Cryptic and their fans, they fall to the wayside as well. Salsa Squadron claims another victim.
I guess you could consider me a fan, because I thought Vetium and fineokay being kicked from Space Station was a travesty. They were winning a lot of their games late last split. But and I also called Cryptic going through the entire gauntlet. I think that Cryptic had a very good chance to get to Super Regionals, and then they get beat by Salsa Squadron, which was expected.
Sure.
Everybody thought that would happen.
Yeah, I'll let you rock
I was
that.
wrong. Like,
yeah.
Okay.
I'll let you rock that one. Wrong, Jobbert over here. Yeah. Anybody? Anybody? I'll be here all week.
Folks.
All right. But watching them play was really interesting, and even though they wind up with the L here, I still enjoyed what we saw out of Cryptic. fineokay did really well. Wasn't sold on Vetium's Izanami, but the rest of his games were really cute.
I think Izanami, I'm a little bit biased just because I love playing her, but I think she's the best hunter right now. in the game, like the best character.
Which is interesting because I also think that Izanami is very strong. Vetium has a tendency to be good at the gods that aren't very good.
Yeah.
And so kind of interesting watching that go down.
And Izanami did not win a single game today. Even in EU, she literally just didn't win, and she got buffed, and you know we're on the Hachiman patch right now.
Sure.
He'll be available for Super Regionals, but Izanami was like the new hunter that I expected to see in almost every game, and we kind of did. You know, we saw her in half of them, but she didn't win, literally.
Right. So what was it that Salsa Squadron did that allowed them to beat Cryptic?
They predicted him. They predicted Vetium's movements, and Izanami has that. Granted, the dash was halved, basically, in the casting time and the ultimate and that kind of thing. But getting that Athena taunt onto him whenever they know he's about to turn and dash away, you get that expectation, and you're able to pluck him right out.
Another interesting thing about Salsa Squadron, as we're going to see more of them tomorrow, so I want to bring it up, Warrior Jungles.
Warrior Jungle. Except for Vamana.
About that.
We don't talk about that.
I was going to get there, but we'll just jump in with the Vamana. This is a pick that I've actually seen some people work around. The idea is he can come into lane and just sort of beat you up and then be that front line later on. Obviously didn't work, but let's talk about what did. The Chaac worked out, and some of the other warriors worked out. I thought Warrior Jungle was over.
Warrior Jungle's not over. Warrior Jungles will never be over, considering that they do damage and they're also tanky, so they're objectively good.
Let's zoom out one more time. The whole conversation of this X class, Y class, Warrior Jungle, Assassin Jungle. I think that these players are just taking gods that are good, whether they're a Warrior, Assassin, or be damned. They're just, this god's good. I think he fits in our team comp, and I think that approach to the game is sort of where Salsa Squadron is coming from. Vamana, jump, blah, blah, hey, he's got the knockup, he's got the tools we need, and you said it yourself. Not playing like an SPL team. That's what I get out of it. Their ability to sort of just play their own style, their own synergy, whether it be picks or otherwise. Where do you come from with that statement?
When you have a team of 5 that they're not the best players and they aren't the best shot callers and not mechanically the best, but you have a role for each of your players and you say, I can fit these gods into this role. When you play a Cabrakan, you have displacement. When you play an Amaterasu, you have stun, that kind of thing. And it's just kind of the scattering of the jungler is very strong right now. And when it comes to players like Sops, who played the Cernunnos, and he was switching so effortlessly between that one, he was getting those slows off, he was able to control every team fight.
Yeah, that's what I got the most out. That's what I got specifically out of this, was the jungle job here was control.
Right.
And again, talking about the archetype of an SPL team, jungler is generally considered your assassin, your guy that deletes players, keeps the lanes in check. Well, take a page, you know, out of, I mean, even Weekend.
Right.
Weekend is not that guy. He's the control-oriented guy. Unfortunately, ALG didn't work out this way, but I think Salsa Squadron take a page out of Weekend's book here and look towards that control-oriented jungle, and it's all about making the whole equation fit together. Really impressed there. What was the thing that impressed you the most about Salsa Squadron before we move on?
I would say their shot calling for sure, because I saw so many games today, especially Burrito Poppies over in EU, where they could just not commit to an objective. And there are a lot of times where somebody would come in, they would leash it back and forth, there was that dance, but then the hunter would stay back and finish the objective and then fight, and that worked completely perfectly for them.
Well, you mentioned how we saw some games earlier. Let's take a look at the bracket and see how everything went down as far as that's concerned. Team Allegiance and Salsa Squadron go ahead, and obviously ALG fall down 2-0. And then later on, we see the 2-1 victory by Salsa Squadron. You guys can't see it. I just memorized it because I watched it.
Right.
But hopefully you guys watch it at home as well. Tomorrow, however, when it comes down to North America, we're going to be seeing Salsa Squadron head on and take care of not Pain Divion. He's the final boss.
He's the final boss.
Their very next matchup should be interesting, however.
With Noble, I cannot count them out right now. And considering I thought Cryptic was going to go through the entire gauntlet, and Salsa Squadron might have even lost to ALG because ALG was, I just thought, better. Salsa Squadron could beat any team right now. I think legitimately, based on their momentum, they have that.
Yeah, I agree. This is one where it's, when you're at this point, anything can happen, all cards on the table. And when you look at Noble and Vigilant and Salsa Squadron, I think these are 3 similarly matched teams. So tomorrow's going to be real exciting on the North American side of things. We'll just touch on Europe real quick. We saw some of the matches. Poppies and Burritos are... we're going to see Poppies take on Energy tomorrow, and then we'll see who wins on the Valent Squadron side of things. Highlights, one quick highlight for you today? I
want to say that I was really impressed with Salsa Squadron's ability to interchange carries, and I will say that I think the best player the entire day for both regions was Sops. Okay. I think Sops was able to kill it. Sops was doing so much. He had that Cernunnos, and he was, like I said, switching effortlessly, hitting those slows, hitting the protection shred on the autumn, that kind of thing. And whenever he played the Scotty, he was also just like killing people. Like he doesn't do as much as Cernunnos in terms of the numbers and that kind of. He was just killing everybody.
So if you had to pick, a most valuable, this is your MVP of the day.
Sops is my MVP of the day because his positioning, and based on what he was acting like, he was able to pull these objectives himself. He was doing things while team fights were going on smartly, not just being an idiot and still killing the Gold Fury while there's a fight going on. It seemed like he was making all the shots and also just winning the game.
That's what it seemed like for me, and I have been waiting a long time for the return of the Hunter. We've got our Barracuda, and it seems like kind of that's what we've got. And right now, Hunters are mad strong. And we're seeing all this power in the other positions. A lot of the Hunters that we're used to seeing succeed aren't doing it, or their teams aren't doing it around them, and we're seeing other people. I'm glad to see another Hunter come through and just stick it to
just kill it. And especially when we have the meta right now where solo jungle is taking over the entire game, having your hard carry be on the opposite side of the entire map is very fun to watch.
Yeah, it definitely is a lot of fun. You know what else is going to be fun?
What?
I'm going to get you to play Smite with me this weekend.
I will never do that. I would rather die.
That's a lie, because we're going to get 3 times worshippers, buddy.
I will do it now. I will actually do it now. That sounds fine to me. At least I get something out of it. It seems fun. See,
look at that. And something you're not going to do is come to HRX. I'm not going to invite you. But you guys at home don't need an invite. All you need is a website, hi-rezexpo.com.
But what if I win the caster?
Well, that's a whole different conversation.
That means I get to come to HRX.
I'm going to hire Skilledon and Walrus to bounce you out.
That is the scariest thing I've literally ever heard in my entire life.
That's pretty much exactly what before we go, I do have to just... There you go. Everybody's been talking about that one. But we finally fixed the tie, and we've finally fixed the rest of it. Really exciting day. I actually really enjoyed it. The postseason of Smite always gets me excited. We've got Super Regionals in a couple of weeks, and tomorrow is important. What are you expecting to see tomorrow?
Energy win everything.
Really?
And Salsa Squadron to make some waves.
Well, hot damn. Tomorrow we're going to start at 1 p.m. That's, of course, hi-rez Standard Time, Eastern Standard Time, here in Alpharetta, Georgia. So make sure you set your clocks, your calendars, and everything in between. Show up here at 1 p.m. on hi-rez TV. For myself, my co-commentator, Ron Jobert, everybody else that takes care of the broadcast, and, of course, you guys at home, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.